It's time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Ursama.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. We are back in the saddle, back in the routine of our scheduled Tuesday, Friday format we have here. And you know, it's nice to say when things are kind of getting back to normal. We got a lot of normal going on around the country, which is nice to see, except the gas prices, of course. But back to some of the things we've saw. Remember way back in 2019, what life was like, just with no masks everywhere and everything. It's been somewhat refreshing to see to get a taste. Us in California, we'll probably lose it, in a month or so, but we do have a taste of normal. It's been nice. And it's nice to get back on this podcast and record weekly with you guys. Again, Tuesdays, just me rambling away. It's actually Monday night right now. I started that Lakers winning time on HBO. I started that the second episode. And then I was like, I got the kitchen free. I better go down and record Tuesday's podcast. So here we are. Happy Tuesday to everyone out there. Happy March, specifically March Madness. And I'm not just talking about the NCAA basketball tournament. NFL free agency has been crazy already. So many storylines. I mean, the NFL really has turned into this just year-long thing of who's going where, and gossip and this and that. I don't know. But it's very exciting to see the general managers and the owners and the teams kind of coming together already here in March, even though football won't be played for about 6 more months. But March Madness is here. It starts Thursday. Technically, it starts Tuesday with the 2 play-in games, and then Wednesday, the other play-in games, the field of 68, because we needed to get more participants when we had a perfectly good 64-team field years ago, but it is what it is. For those not watching on YouTube, I do have my Cal State Fullerton t-shirt, class of 08. See the bottom there, and on the back of this shirt it has every single name of every single graduate from 2008, and yours truly is in there in the middle somewhere, very tiny. So that year in 08 was a year that the basketball team advanced to the NCAA tournament. I was there at the championship game as a student. We stormed the floor. It was really cool to be a part of that my senior year of college, and it had been 30 years since Cal State Fullerton had been in the basketball tournament. Before that, it was 1978, a school they called Cal State Who, because no one remembered who they were. They had a couple of big wins in the tournament, got to I think the Sweet 16, and were on the doorstep of the Elite Eight. Or maybe it was they went to the Elite Eight. I can't remember exactly, but that was way back then. Fullerton went to the NCAA tournament again in 2018, not too long ago, but it was this last Saturday night in 2022 where Cal State Fullerton beat Long Beach State by 1 point at that new arena up in Henderson, Nevada, just outside of Vegas, to advance to the NCAA tournament, win the Big West. So I'm pretty fired up. It's not too often you get to see your school on a big stage. They've had a lot of great success in baseball and such, but there's something special about the NCAA tournament, right? And the March Madness. So all these schools you never heard of, usually someone makes a little noise, wins a game or two. And the Titans have a very tall task ahead of them. They're going to be playing the legendary program, the Duke Blue Devils, who are a 2 seed. The Titans are a 15 seed. And, Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, it's his final year. He's already had a bunch of ceremonies and everything. Legendary coach, 5 national titles, so many wins, has just been such an instrumental part to college basketball. And he's really is one of the big faces of college basketball. And he's had quite a career. But I'm not saying it'll happen, but what if Cal State Fullerton, the little Titans from the Big West, what if they upset Duke? Just think about it. Not just to upset Duke, but that's how Coach K goes off in the distance, and a happy retirement, of course. If it was Cal State Fullerton, hey, who was Coach K's final game against? Some school called Cal State Fullerton. Good baseball program usually, although not for like 20 years. But if the Titans were to upset the Duke Blue Devils, now we're talking not just David and Goliath. We're talking, I didn't even know what to compare this to. This would be a huge task. But as an alum, you know what? They got to play the game. They got to play the game. Let's throw the ball up and see what happens. And that's the best part of March Madness, is that anybody can beat anybody on a given day. Duke is probably on paper 30 points better than Fullerton. So we'll see. But you know what? They call it madness. They call it March mayhem for a reason. You never know. You never know. So for those Southern California fans out here who are maybe looking for teams to root for, hey, cheer on those Titans. I know UCLA's in it. I know USC's in it. Arizona, San Diego State. There's a ton of schools from the West Coast out here. Montana State, I believe. But Friday night at 4 p.m. here, I think they're playing in South Carolina. But those pesky Titans from Cal State Fullerton, Big West champs. And they got a player I want you guys to watch. Hopefully everyone knows his name after this. EJ Anaseki. He actually was a transfer, played at Tennessee for a little while. I've seen him play a few times for Fullerton this year, and the dude is a hustler. He's a 6'7" big man, which isn't, huge for college D1 standards, but he's a glass eater. He's a rebound machine. He's a hustle guy, a lot of second chance points, and just a guy that they really feed off of his energy. Plus a lot of great 3-point shooting. And I think that's really a thing that for schools that can provide an upset in college basketball in March Madness, you typically see really good 3-point shooting. And it seems like in today's college game, everyone's a 3-point shooter, even though they've backed up the 3-point line to the NBA distance now. College basketball sharpshooting. That's how you slay giants, man, with those the 3-ball. And Fullerton can get hot and streaky from 3. So keep an eye on that. Again, Duke's one of the best teams in all of the land, the best coach, the best fundamental dudes. They got some stars and everything, but they're beatable. They are beatable. And keep an eye on that game Friday. Can't wait. That Thursday and Friday really are the 2 best days of the year. I have friends who actually don't like basketball at all, but they've gone to Las Vegas, or they've had parties with friends in the middle of the day where they watch all the games. And out here on the West Coast from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., it's just there's usually 3 or 4 games going at a time. You flip the TV on, you're like, wait, who's this school? Oh, it's an 11 versus a 6. Okay, come on, 11. Like, you find yourself rooting for teams that you've never heard of, and also seeing your brackets busted too. It's fun to do that. So I don't know what your guys' favorite March Madness memories are. I remember the Tyus Edney play with UCLA in their 95 championship team, him going the distance against Missouri. I remember Gonzaga, one of their first big wins, at least in from me watching as a high school kid, where they beat Florida, I think, in a buzzer beater. Who can forget Valparaiso? Bryce Drew, I think, was his name, when they upset, was it Ole Miss, I think, where they threw the length of the floor catch, and he kicked it out to Bryce Drew, the coach's son, who hit the 3 at the buzzer. That was like a 10 a.m. game or something, if I'm not mistaken. Princeton, when they do the old backdoor cut in 96 against the defending national champs, UCLA. So many great memories. March Madness, the Final Four and the title games, those are special. But these first couple days are really, because there's so much back. There's 16 games, 32 games in 2 days, plus another 8 games Saturday and Sunday for another 16. I mean, 48 basketball games in 4 days. And yeah, again, when you're at school, when you're at work, you find yourself, looking to the computer, checking scores, maybe taking your break around some games and such. It's such a unique sporting event. I'm so glad it's here. It's back. I think last year they did it in all Indianapolis and all these different arenas. Now they got them back to where they're spreading out. There's games in San Diego and San Francisco, I believe, out here on the West Coast. There's just, can't say enough about March Madness, March Mayhem. You flip it on and you see something you never thought you'd see, right? So I mentioned UCLA and SC. I watched that entire Pac-12 semifinal with UCLA and SC. Bruins were victorious, got up to a double-digit lead. SC battled, but UCLA, the far superior team, in my opinion. And there's too many times with SC, like they're just play kind of this one-on-one. Here, you take the ball and just do what you got to do. It doesn't seem like there's any flow to their offense at times. So hopefully they can get that figured out. But back to Fullerton, they upset, or they beat Long Beach with some great defense. Long Beach had a shot at the end. I should say a shot. They didn't even get a shot off for the final play of the game. The Titans went 11 of 20 from 3-point land and shot 52% overall. So keep an eye on those Titans. If they can rebound, no second chance points from Duke. And if they can outshoot Duke behind the arc, I really do believe the Titans have a chance. But back to UCLA SC. SC, again, their flow wasn't great. UCLA looked fantastic, pretty good defensively as well. Just a great performance from the Bruins. And let's look at the bracket here. You don't want to forget about Arizona. It's pretty cool that of the two of the top four seeds, Gonzaga, number one, in what is it? Is it the West or the Midwest? Maybe. And Arizona is a number one also. I think Arizona definitely the favorite in this tournament, obviously. But then you look at the other number ones here. Let's see here. Baylor. Saw them play pretty well in the Big 12 tournament, and Kansas, a legendary program there. A potential great matchup in the second round of Kansas and San Diego State. If the Aztecs can get through Creighton, I think that would be a really fun watch. USC and Miami in the first round, a battle of once upon a time great football schools with a lot of swag and everything. I love this matchup. Very intriguing. The winner will go on to face the winner of Auburn, Jacksonville State. So USC and Miami, keep your eye on that. I think that game could really be pretty entertaining, minus USC's sluggish offense that I just talked about. San Diego State I talked about. As far as other West Coast teams out here, Arizona's waiting their opponent. They should roll. Gonzaga plays Georgia State. Gonzaga versus Boise State potentially in the second round. If Boise can beat Memphis, that's got a great feel to it. Boise and Spokane, not too far apart from each other. I'm not sure where that game is going to be played, but let's see. It will be in Portland, Oregon. So you're going to get a ton of Boise State fans and a ton of Gonzaga fans, obviously, in that game. That's another kind of familiar, at least proximity wise, that could be very intriguing in the second round. Duke and Fullerton, whoever wins that game will face Michigan State or Davidson. So, you know what, let's just hope Fullerton can shock the world. First of all, another similar matchup here, UCLA plays Akron, and they will play the winner of, let's see, will they play? Yeah, St. Mary's. And then St. Mary's, whoever they play in a play-in game. So you could potentially see the 4 and 5 seed UCLA and St. Mary's playing each other in an all-California matchup in the second round. Again, not too far from one another. San Francisco out of the WCC, they're going to be playing Murray State. I like the Dons here. San Francisco a 10 seed. Murray State, I don't know, maybe a little higher seed than people would think, but I think the Dons might just make a little noise there. They'd have to play Kentucky after that. But those are some intriguing matchups to me. If you kind of look at, all right, you look ahead, Montana State plays Texas Tech. Like I said, a ton of West Coast teams here in this tournament. New Mexico State plays UConn. I like the Aggies there. Very talented team. I've heard from some coaches in that conference that the Aggies of New Mexico State are just such a cut above everybody else. So those are some West Coast teams that I think I will be pulling for. I'll be watching, and it would be cool. There is potential really for some West Coast teams to make some noise, at least into the second weekend. And then hopefully even into that Elite Eight, the back half of the second weekend. It's just, you got to love the format too. Thursday, Friday, 16 games. Okay, so you got to win 2 games a weekend to advance, right? You play Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. Then the next week, the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, same thing. Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. Then after that, we're down to 4 teams, 2 games Saturday, 1 game Monday night. It's just beautiful. You got to love the symmetry of it all. So happy March Madness, everybody, and enjoy those games well, you can even say Tuesday night, right? With the play-in games. Why not? Get a little taste. What else are you going to watch? The NBA? Come on. We're not watching that stuff. And hockey's not quite into their playoffs yet. So might as well check out those games. Anyway, I'm going to try to be brief today, but as usually when I say that, I tend to go a little longer. But NFL free agency, Tom Brady returns Sunday night. The Hersema family, we were all out at our favorite restaurant in Sunset Beach, Captain Jack's, and some of the best seafood around. We were there celebrating the Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl 1 month to the day, February 13th to March 13th. We were there celebrating a big dinner. Just had a great time with my dad, my brother, everyone's significant others, and just it was a great time, a great feast. And as we're sitting there eating and just having a great time, I see on my phone Tom Brady returning. I'm like, really, Tom? Really? Like he knew we were eating and celebrating. Just like, oh, of course he's coming back. That Tom, I thought the Rams put him out of the misery, and but he's coming back, and he took a few weeks off and felt, hey, he wants to keep playing. God bless him. He's the greatest ever, man. Like, play as long as you want to play. And I think he's so competitive. I think he saw some of the dominoes fall in where quarterbacks are starting to go. And he's like, wait a minute, the NFC doesn't look that difficult anymore. I can make another Super Bowl run probably. And he's just so hungry to get one more ring, right? Get one more shot and to compete. And I think it's good for everybody. But is it boredom from him? Is he not have another purpose? I don't know what it is. I think there's always that fine line with all of us in our lives, being content versus satisfied, or satisfied versus being like bored or kind of wanting more. And we all go through that every day, really, in our daily life is what I mean. So, but the Hersema family celebrating. It's had some great lobster, great crab, mussels and clams. Like I said, ton of seafood, and just a great Sunday evening. And just remembering one more time that the Rams won the Super Bowl a month ago. And it was kind of a great way to kind of be like, all right, now on to next year. This was really special. But that's the incentive when you're a big fan, is to have a celebration like that. So that's even more reason to root hard and be like, hey, we get to go to Captain Jack's if the Rams make it happen. So we'll see. Everyone's saying run it back. It's easy to say. I'm not sure about how easy that will be. Okay, Major League Baseball is back. It took them a while to kind of get their act together, and there was a ton of discussions going on. We don't know all the details, but there have been some rule changes. I'm not thrilled with a lot of them, but baseball, wants to evolve and be something it's not. And all sports are different. Basketball evolves and they move the 3-point line, and the NFL, they have rule changes. Baseball, your foundation really is old school and just kind of not changing too much. And a lot of younger people don't want to hear that. And playing the game the right way, all those things. There's only so much you can do with baseball. You're never going to make it into an hour and a half game. You're never going to make it into a 22 to 21 consistently offensive game. You're just not going to have those things. And so I don't know what the big push is. There's always these timing rules, speed up rules. They don't help. They make the game longer because there's just one more thing for people to argue about. And it's just like, you just let the game be, is the way I see it. But there were some things that I think we saw coming. And the big one is a universal DH. So you will have the National League implementing the DH according to what I read, unless I misread that. But double headers will go back to 9 innings. As an umpire, I never liked double headers, but I understand the integrity of the game and stats and all those things. Yeah, if you're going to play 2, that you don't have many scheduled, and they usually do it like 1 o'clock, 7 o'clock or something. Like, it's a long day and it sucks, but play 9 innings. You don't really shorten. You wouldn't be like, we're going to play a 3-quarter football game today, right? Let's see. COVID rules, that was kind of tied into time at the ballpark and 7 inning games. The implementation of a draft lottery was interesting. So there will be 14 12 teams making the playoffs now rather than, what was it? 8? No, it was 10. It was the 2 wild cards used to play a 1-game playoff before then going into the 14 playoffs in each league. But there will be 12 now, not exactly the format, not sure of exactly the format yet, but of the remaining 18 teams, they will now have a draft lottery similar to the NBA for the top 6 picks from what I read here. So that way teams aren't tanking, the dog days of August. It's really easy in baseball to just not care anymore when you're at game 130 and you got 32 to go, and it's just like, let me get up there and swing it half-heartedly or whatever. But it's the purpose of this is to just make sure teams aren't tanking, and I don't think that goes on anyway. I think a lot of that comes from the paranoia of, again, media and fans who just really, I don't think in a $1 billion industry, these teams are worth millions, and that teams are going to be out there trying to lose. It would be so hard for me to see. I could see competitors not trying as hard, but trying to lose or trying to fail, that I can't see. And I just think it's a little too much paranoia. All-Star game could be decided by a home run derby. I don't even know if that's really a rule or whatever. Oversized bases. This is stupid to me. This is beyond stupid. And what is the one thing, if you're trying to sell something, what is the one thing you can always in sports make the sale with? What is it? It's the S word. The S word got us around COVID, all these other things. Safety, right? It's the bigger bases. It's not for more offense. It's not so guys are, no pun intended, safe more often, but safe, less injuries, a better bag, more bag to step on. You're not getting tangled with the feet of the defensive player and stuff like that. More access to a base when sliding. Safety, not safely, safety. And so someone built that argument, and that is how they sold the bigger bases, which I guess will be more offense. We'll see. Like, we're trying to reinvent things here, reinvent the wheel. It's like the bases were fine how they were. But what do I know? I'm just a out of baseball podcaster. Banning the shift. I also don't like this. You cannot have, you have to have 2 guys on each, 2 infielders on each side of second base. You can put them, up to within the base or whatever. But I don't like this because this takes baseball, again, gets in its own way. Sometimes it wants to be old school and just be like, no, this is how the game is played. And then other times when the game has evolved a little bit, there's actual strategy. Most of the time in baseball, it's like, go up there. Okay, you face him. Okay, try to get that guy over, whatever. But when there's actually some strategy and to look at where guys are hitting the ball and try to manipulate defensively what they're doing. Can you imagine if this happened in other sports? You could say, well, there's a lot of rules against teams, defensively. You can only do this, you can only do that. The NFL, every defensive penalty other than an offside really is, or too many men on the field is an automatic first down. You can't tackle guys too hard anymore. You definitely can't touch a quarterback. Basketball used to have no zone defenses. They've adapted, but to take a strategic thing, like we're going to put 3 infielders on this side of the field because this guy doesn't hit the ball the other way, to then remove that from the game, that's just nonsense. It's trying to appease, I don't know, fan base. It's trying to appease guys making $30 million a year who are, big power hitters. And I don't, the lost art of hitting the ball the other way. And maybe you guys don't want to see someone like, who's a big pole hitter. I don't even know. I don't watch as much baseball anymore, but Cody Bellinger, he's a pretty big pole guy, isn't he? You don't want to say, well, he can't hit the ball the other way, or maybe he's paid to hit it out of the ballpark or whatever. Okay, fine. But that was always the argument against the shift. Well, you can't put someone in the stands, right, to catch the ball. I don't like it. You got to keep 2 infielders. You're punishing teams, in my opinion, that are intelligent. They look at scouting reports, and you're taking away strategy of the game. What's the next strategy we shouldn't have? How about maybe no leadoffs? Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to lead off if you're winning by 5 or more runs. Maybe if you bat around, that, you shouldn't be able to score more. I don't know. It's just, I don't like, I've been in officiating for so long, and every year we had new rules in every sport, and they were written by the coaches. But I feel like when a rule is put out there, there's always a reason why. And you can't give me a good reason why here. You want more offense? Is that it? I thought here's the $1 million question. Not $1 million question, whatever I was saying. Major League Baseball at the same time. Think about this. This is all you need to think about of how, like, either it's a fine line or they're just delusional. They're trying at the same time, the same exact time, to speed up the game and have more offense. Now, I'm not a genius, but it seems like those two kind of go against each other. When is the last 2-hour game you saw that was 15-14? You want more offense, but you're also super concerned about the time and the pace of play. Those two don't go hand in hand. And maybe, again, I'm just the guy who is rolling his eyes here going, this pitch clock, 14 seconds for it'll get to the big leagues, I think, in 2023. I feel bad for my minor league buddies out there umpiring in AAA and such. They're going to have to do a lot of these rules experimentally. I will tell you this. I have it from good sources that the automatic balls and strikes system, they call it the ABS. It is, they really are pushing hard for it to get to a Major League Baseball. And it's being tested out this year a lot at a few different levels in minor leagues, trying to work out the kinks. And it's really odd. The umpire is going to be behind the plate. He's going to do his regular thing. And he just has an earpiece, and all he does is waits for the call, ball or strike. And then when the hitters get mad or the pitchers and catchers get furious, they're just like, it's the computer. It's not me. But someone will break the computer, I'm sure. That's just the way it is. I don't like this stuff. I don't. Maybe we need robotic shortstops. You guys know how I feel about that stuff. So those are some of the rule changes in baseball. I just don't like when there's not a good reason for something. You make a rule. We saw this for the past 2 years. Rules were made constantly around COVID. So you got to wear a mask on an airplane, but if you eat, it's safe. Well, wait a minute. Why is this rule here? And then it doesn't make sense. Or you got to wear a mask to walk in a restaurant and then sit down and you're fine. Like, you have to have good reasons for your rules. And you can't, if you just say, well, it's safety and science, like, you have to like back it up with evidence of that. And I think some of these rules in baseball, I don't know who was in favor of these. If the players were more in favor of it, if the owners were more in favor of it, it sounds like a little bit of both. And that's why there was such a lengthy discussion regarding their lockout, and they'll make up the games, I'm sure. I don't think too many people are going to miss, the first few weeks of April baseball. We got other things going on too. You got the March Madness, the Final Four will be going, and then hockey playoffs are going. Baseball could stand getting pushed back a little bit, maybe starting even in May. I wish the game, it was a shorter season. I think like 120 games would be plenty, but you would lose a lot of revenue, and the sport's all about money. So it's all about the big bucks. It's a business. Okay. Final sports topic. I saw this. Now look, I am by no means a big tennis guy. I don't know that I've ever sat and watched an entire tennis match. Maybe a little bit during COVID when all sports were gone and they all kind of individually came back, and I was just starving for anything, sports wise. But I bring up tennis because, it's an individual sport. I don't think you see this as much in like golf. Maybe you do. And it's just, I don't know, but you do see some emotion in tennis, right? You see a lot of that emotion, some of it good, some of it bad. And I got to tell you somebody that I am just tired of hearing from, and that is tennis star Naomi Osaka. Now, I got to preface what I say here. Months ago, she came out as she didn't want to talk to media because she felt that it hurt her mental health. Okay, I have to give this disclaimer, I guess. And it also leads to another question for me, another discussion or whatever. this concept of mental health, I understand there's real mental health out there. I also understand that there's people who actually need service dogs, and there's also people that lie about it, that don't need a service dog. They need to toughen up a little bit. So I think it's a slippery slope. What I find fascinating with the discussion about mental health is that it's used as like a scapegoat. It's used as a crutch, but like when we want to like point to someone as crazy or be like, that person's not normal, that person has a screw loose, or we start to say those things, then you come across as like hateful. And so to me, it's an inconsistent inconsistent concept here of the seriousness of mental health. I think we all have a little bit of mental health. I have some very good friends who have suffered through depression, and they haven't gone through, combat or anything like that. It's a real thing. I understand. I can't imagine the pressure of being a professional athlete. I would, however, be much better with it all if there was a couple commas in my bank account. I was making, my net worth was worth a few million. I'd probably be just fine. And some people thrive on the pressure. We talked about Tom Brady and everything, and I can't imagine what that's like. But I'll tell you this, I do know what it's like to come home at the end of a shift, to come home at the end of my work week and not had a good day, had someone get after me, had someone make fun of me. I've had just a tough time. I don't know about you guys. I think if we're all honest, at some point in our lives, in our job, I can't tell you how many times I came home in college, I would be in tears because I just was having a tough time balancing my life. I never thought I was going to graduate. Every workload, every assignment, I should say, I just got overwhelmed and I struggled. I'm not saying I had mental issues or anything, but what I'm saying is I think so many of us, we have our moments in our lives that they weigh heavy on us. And especially when there's a lot of money on the line. I'm not a father, but when you got kids to feed, when people last 2 years struggling either out of work, can't find jobs, can't find the right job. There's just so many elements like that people struggle, and it's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. But this saying, Naomi Osaka, she went to the microphone, she got beat, and someone in the crowd, 10,000 people, and someone yelled at her from the top of the row or something, "You suck, Naomi," whatever. And she's crying. And here's what I see. I either do see somebody that is just totally overwhelmed with the concept of competing at a high level, at the professional level, and probably does need to step away. You need to stop trying to make millions of dollars because you can't handle it. It's one of these two things. If you can't handle it, then you need to stop trying to do it, because I hate when people try to change the rules and adapt things. You see this, for instance, it's an example. You see, say, I don't know, baseball umpiring, for instance. You don't see too many, female baseball umpires. You see them in other sports. You don't really see it in baseball. So my thing is, I don't care what gender you are, what ethnicity you are, where you come from, who your family was. I don't care about any of those things. I care if you can do the job and if you're the best person for the job. And what I've seen, not necessarily in my experience, but from afar, is some people go into professions and they're the first person, first female, or the first person of this or that to be in this profession. And then they want it changed. They want the environment that they are new to. They're the new person, and they want the environment that is already established to change around them. No. If you're jumping into a new job, a new, I don't know, a new profession, it's up to you to adapt. It's up to you to change and be, and fall in line with everybody else. I'm not talking about following policies, following rules. I'm just saying, some people go into professions and they're like the first, I don't know, Okay. I'm the first Dutch American in a new profession. And it's like, well, we've never had a Dutch American before, Matt. And I'm just like, well, it's my first day on the job. And I see a bunch of things, I'm not used to this. You guys need to change the way in which you do business, because as a Dutch American, bad example probably, but it popped in my head. Anyway, Naomi Osaka, I think she comes in and she wants everything to change around her. Hecklers have been happening for years in sports. You don't get to make millions of dollars and then be like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do what's asked of me. If you are really affected by this mental health, if it is just something inside of you that is destroying you, then maybe you need to walk away and get away from the business that is bringing this upon you. It's also giving you a lot of money, and maybe that feeling isn't worth it to you. Maybe it's just too much for you. And if it is, I really do wish you well, and wish you that you do get the help you need. I've seen people. Like I said, I drive for Uber a lot, right? I see all kinds of different people, and I've seen people who have suffered through real trauma. I've seen veterans with service dogs, and I'm just like, you can tell something's a little off, but they're just trying to get through it all, right? They're not walking around sad because they're trying to get above it. And what I see with Naomi Osaka, I feel as if it's like this modern age of kids these days, right? Of just kind of, I don't know, maybe always getting their way. Maybe the kids that weren't spanked as a kid. It was just starting to see this change in young people. And that's why I am so inspired when I see young people who are held accountable and they believe in that stuff. They believe in hard work and failure is okay. They show up again and try to do better. They're hardworking. They don't just say, oh, I lost. I can't, my mental health, I just can't do it. I'm not saying what she's doing is fake. It seems like there's something going on there, and she probably just needs to walk away. But if you are going to work in an industry where you're paid millions and it's all about performance, and there are fans there, we got to stop living in this age of, well, people are mean and words hurt, feelings this. I feel, do you know how much damage has been done by those two words? I feel. Well, I really do believe that. I remember my dad was great, and even my mom as a kid. You don't feel like taking out the trash. I didn't ask you if you felt like doing it. Go do it. Most things in this life, you're not going to feel like doing. You don't feel like getting up at 5 a.m. to go to work. You don't feel like exercising. I sure don't. I need to do more. I have to tell myself, it doesn't matter how you feel. You need to go do this. I don't feel like paying bills on time. It's hard. It's emotional. You can't use this mental health as a crutch, as an out, just because you are uncomfortable. I don't know all about her background. I do know that it does seem she was semi-privileged growing up, maybe. I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but when we used to play Pasadena Poly, and Coach Smoke, football coach, and Poly, I want to say this after the great conversation I had with him months ago, a respect for Poly, I do have. All right. A rivalry. I want to beat you every time I see you. But Mark Carson used to tell us in JV baseball, and when we were playing those guys, because Rio Hondo is kind of your, it's the poor man's prep school, really. You look at the tuitions of the schools we played and what people hear, oh, Matt, you went to a prep school. I'm like, yeah. It was very, very cheap in comparison to other private schools. Thank you, Dad, for signing that tuition check every year. And of course we earned a little bit of it too. So, but my point is, we used to have this chip on our shoulder going up against Pasadena Poly, because it's not like they're bad people because they come from money, but I'm a capitalist. I think everyone should make as much money as they want. If you can afford a big house or go to a big school, God bless you and your resources. But there was that chip And I think there still is, of kind of the real Hondo guys, where we come from. We're kind of your middle class blue collar guys, and guys like Pasadena Poly. I'm not going to say privilege. I don't even like that word, but it gets thrown around all the time. So there was a chip, like we gotta, this means more to us than them. That was always kind of a mentality when you're playing those types of schools. Again, it's an example. There was plenty of times when Poly tried it harder than us and played better than us. And it's just a comparison thing. But I think it feels like Naomi Osaka has never seen never been told no or something, or never been made fun of. I don't know. And I don't want to just misspeak and speak over someone who's going through this and then something tragic happens to her next week or whatever. But I do think if we're going to have an open discussion about this, we need to be honest and be like, I mean, can you imagine Patrick Mahomes throwing an interception and going to a microphone and just being like, I can't take what these Bronco fans are saying. I can't take it anymore. I also think there's in the movie George Patton, he like hits one of his soldiers who's mentally just done and gone through shell shock and that shell shock and had back then, there was no PTS diagnosis and things, but yep. Again, it brought up, I saw this on the weekend. I saw her little outbreak or whatever, her outburst, I should say. And I was just like, this is a couple times now. Before, she didn't want to talk to the media, and I know who wants to talk to the media. They're a bunch of arrogant jerks or whatever. But she said, "Oh, it's just too hard on my mental health." And then she turns around and she's posing for Sports Illustrated and getting all that publicity and things. So I think we can't pick and choose our tough times. I know there's people who have struggled with things upstairs and have gone through some awful things. I know that I have. I'm sure everyone out there has. So I guess that's all I have to say about that. We can't be afraid to just be like, that person needs to toughen up a little bit. Otherwise, no one is forcing you to be a professional tennis player. That's the whole nother thing. No one's forcing you to go out there and play this sport and make millions of dollars. They're just forcing you to, or just expecting you, not forcing you, expecting you to react and abide by the atmosphere that everyone else has before you. So anyway, enough of that. I will move on from some sports topics. Okay, real quick. These are just random thoughts that I thought of. I wrote down. You guys know how much I love these things. First of all, I cooked last week here at home. I was trying to cook a pizza that was not carb based. And I heard on an Adam Carolla show, a fitness guy, who was like, hey, if you really want pizza, get a sauce, use sausage as like a crust, and then put cheese and everything on top of it. I was like, I got to try that. So I tried it. And I didn't have the ingredients all right. It came out good. I ate it. Valerie tolerated it. But it got me thinking that when men cook sometimes, and maybe some of you guys are pros and I'm just not. I mean, I think the word casserole definitely was invented by a man, because it's probably from all the times we messed up something. And then you just are like, well, just mix it all together. And my pizza looked like a casserole of some kind, almost like a lasagna. And so that was my thought for the day. Or like when when you kind of mix everything together, instead of having the bacon and the eggs and this and that, it's just like, throw it all together. Yeah, it's a scramble. It's not an omelet, because that's too fancy to flip and everything. But I think men cooking and turning something into a casserole, if you will, because casserole is like a fancy word for like, oh, this is just one big pile here. So I'm getting better at this cooking thing, guys. I promise. Oh man, men getting ready versus women getting ready. I love my lady Valerie. It's not just her. It's a lot of women. And maybe I've been around some men that are this way too, but in general, women getting ready versus men. I got ready in 5 minutes, maybe 10, sitting there in my shorts, watching games, just like, hey, telling her, hey, go get ready, knowing that we were 2 hours from leaving or whatever. I was like, hey, go get ready, Okay, I know. I'm like, no, you're going to take longer. You're going to take a long time. Just tell me when you're 5 minutes away, and then I'll go upstairs and, unless you got an iron or something, don't be sloppy, right, fellas? But it's just two different worlds. I can't imagine the work that goes into getting ready. All you ladies out there, all the makeup and the hair and all those things, and it's just like, man, I go up there, throw deodorant on, put my shirt on, spray a little cologne, and I'm ready to go. Like that's just how we are. Another thing with men and women, I found kind of funny. Again, these are thoughts that pop in my head, and they're not just because all of them are experiences with Valerie and I. But I found it funny. I was like, again, differences in men and women. The way women will ask for something versus the way maybe a man will. I think, for instance, there was a cup somewhere, or as an example here, cup I wanted her to rinse out, or she left upstairs. I said, and I found that with men, most times we're requesting something. It's, hey, will you? Hey, will you go get your cup, out of the bathroom? Or, hey, will you get your purse, take your purse off of the whatever, clear the table, whatever. And then I think if it's a woman asking a man, it's not even really telling a man. Instead of will you, it's a lot of you will. You will go do this. You will go do that. I know. And Valerie doesn't do that at all. I'm serious about that. But it just, you see sitcoms, or you see interactions of other people and other relationships. I think that's a big difference. And for those happily married men out there, happily relationship men out there who have a great woman who doesn't say you will, who says will you, I think that goes a long way. And on the men's side, I mean, I don't think any man would be dumb enough to tell a woman, hey, you will do this. It would be, hey, will you do this? And it could be anything out there. And we should, right? We're supposed to get along, right? We're supposed to coexist. I think with questions, you get answers. With orders, you get stern looks and probably big fights, right? So don't do that, anybody. Let me see. A great TV show I watched, I think I mentioned it to you on Netflix. It's called Afterlife. It's a little dark. It's a little deep. Speaking of depression, and Ricky Gervais, he was fantastic in it. He loses his wife and to cancer, and he kind of goes on a binge and bender, and just kind of doesn't like dealing with the outside world. And so he just kind of speaks his mind, and it's funny. It's sad. It was a really good show. Again, a lot of dark humor. He's an atheist, so he kind of goes against, I don't know. He's very adamant about, anti-God and everything. But then there's moments in the show where you're like, wait, what does he really believe? And so if you're looking for something darker that has some humor in it, there's some moments too where you're just like, why was that in the show? But it was a show Val and I both really liked. And again, it was kind of that weird, sad, funny genre that I don't think there's a lot out of. A word that I made up, 2 words. I talked about being satisfaction, right? And people being happy. Happiness is a choice, right? I don't know. That is as clear as day to me. Life is how you choose to respond to it. But I may name this on a podcast here soon sometime, but satisfaction versus satisfiction. I love playing with words. You guys know this about me. And I think there's a lot of people that they pretend to be satisfied. And I think it's that satisfiction made up term that I'm doing. You see a lot of this on social media, right? Look how happy I am. I'm great. I'm this, I'm that. And people truly aren't satisfied with themselves. They're putting on a front. They're putting on it is fact or fiction. It is satisfiction. So I don't know if that made sense to you or not, but again, I told you, bouncing really quick here on these last couple of statements. Okay. Man card violations. Haven't done this in a while. I'm going to try to bring one a week if I can. It could be a lot of different things. Here's an example. And I know there's probably some MMA guy who wears these and will just beat the heck out of me. But I saw this. This guy was not an MMA guy. This was just a dude at the grocery store. And I am not a fashion guy by any means, but this dude was rocking some capris. I'm like, come on, man. There's certain things that I don't think the male species should be participating in. Maybe that makes me some kind of sexist or somethingist. I don't know. I lose track of all the obias and all the is. if you guys haven't noticed. But yeah, man card violation. You can't wear capris, dude. Come on. What are you doing? Wear shorts or wear pants. Don't wear what would be the reason for those anyway? Do they look good on girls? Yes, they do. I think they do look good on women. There's a lot of things that look good on women that I don't think look good on men. But again, that's hateful me speaking. Okay. And if you don't know what capris are, then, and you're a guy, good for you. You shouldn't know what they are. Those are my 2 cents. Anyway, I'm going to try to bring it like this. The next, I'm still trying to find myself in this podcast when I'm just by myself. I love having a conversation with someone, but when it's just me, I want to still make it entertaining, kind of make it relatable for people to tune in and be like, let's listen to Matt ramble for, 45 minutes or whatever. So I have some other things I wanted to put out there, but that I think that will wrap it up for today. I did see on social media that there were Rio Hondo Prep had their inaugural. I'm not sure who was the president, but I did see some photos of the the classes, the guys and the girls. Everyone looked sharp. A lot of great tuxedos on the young men out there. A lot of style points. I was impressed with some of the senior swag out there, I will say, and it just brought back memories to me. The inaugural, in closing here, was like scariest time. Asking a girl to the inaugural in high school was probably the scariest thing to this day I ever had to do. And I obviously wanted to go on have a date with me at the inaugural. I hated going solo, but man, asking a girl out, I just never got better at it. It was, some would say I still haven't, and I haven't had to ask a girl out in the amount of years, but even Valerie, she knows I'd ask her out a couple times, by the way. I don't know. Never been a skill of mine. Like, okay, so getting those words out, you either have it or you don't. Some things you don't get better at. And I chuckled about that when I saw the Rio Hondo students in their tuxedos and looking sharp for the 2022 inaugural. Got to find out who the new president is, but that will wrap it up today for me, guys. Sorry to ramble so long, but just excited about March Madness, NFL free agency, random thoughts that pop into my head. And I appreciate you guys tuning in and giving me the time of day. I will have a guest on Friday, already recorded, by the way. Have a couple more recordings set to go this week that hopefully I can stockpile a few. I think you guys are going to be pleased with some of the upcoming guests here on the Get Home Safe podcast that we'll have on Fridays. And again, Tuesdays, just me rambling about the weekend sports, rambling about random thoughts that go through my mental health head. Mental health or mental wealth? What do you think of that terminology? Pick and choose which is more important to you. Anyway, sometimes when you get going, it's hard to turn it off, slow down, and be like, dude, come on, let's go get better at this. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Enjoy the basketball, huh? We'll have some recap next Tuesday about all the great games from the weekend, maybe some big NFL signings, and then, of course, a bunch of random topics. I want you guys, as always, to reach out to me. I love hearing from you guys. I don't just want to hear from you during the football season. I want to hear from you guys all throughout the year. So Get Home Safe Podcast at yahoo.com. You can also text me and hit me up through social media, but that's a great way for me to keep everything organized. Voice messages, they're still available you look in the episode links. It's a really easy thing to do. If you want to send me some topics, you want to send me some of your man card violations, some random thoughts that pop into your head. Let's get this show back going again with good rhythm, good routine, back to normal. And let's have some fun. This needs to be, this is supposed to be fun, right? Like I said in Bull Durham. So go Titans. Let's go. Take down the Devils, take down the Blue Devils, USC, UCLA, New Mexico State, Montana State, San Diego State, Arizona. Who am I missing? San Francisco, St. Mary's, Gonzaga. Let's go West Coast. Make a great showing here in the 2022 NCAA tournament. It's March Madness. It's mayhem. I know you guys will be watching Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and all day Sunday. Isn't it grand? All right, guys, enough for me. Thanks for tuning in. And guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or rounding third base, get home safe.